Being Australia, we have some rather large spiders, and that happens to be a redback. I made that on a whim for no reason, no client. I just wanted to build a giant spider. For all you people stuck at home, a little bit more about what I do, and maybe I can give you some ideas or some inspiration or some tips and tricks that might inspire you to have a go. I have a go at everything. So this has been a little bit of short notice as far as doing a video and show and tell in my stuff. So I haven't had time to clean up. So, and I generally don't clean up anyway. I work in a bit of a chaotic flux, and so yeah, this is how it is. Follow me into the studio of Complete Tales. Right. Okay. Obviously I have a Dalek, a steampunk Dalek by the name of Jemima. She's made pretty much from recycled items or reappropriated items. A quick tour of Jemima. Pesticide sprayer, bicycle rims, copper piping. This is part of a washing machine drum. Curry dishes from Kmart. I did actually buy these weren't particularly recycled. Teapot. Here we have a doorknob. This is the top of a Weber barbecue. If you follow me, you can see inside her because she's fully articulated and travels at about 6 k's an hour. So if you have a little look in there, so this is the inside of Jemima. There's a couple of screens there, and if you're down on the right hand side, you can see the joystick that controls the front armatures. And yeah, it's pretty hard to film in here, so there we go. We've got an amplifier, a voice modulator. There's a microphone that's up there, which is missing because I'm using it inside. So, punk, you feeling lucky? Well, are you? Well, you probably will be quite lucky because this doesn't fire any bullets. Because this is the Turtle Bone. It's a fractional tethering modulator that will not actually hurt you in any way at all, but it will fractionally moderate your tether, whatever that is. That's kind of a steampunk ethos to come up with some random feature. The springs just come off. And I'm sure you guys over in the States will like this one, because this is made from a, can you see that, Lewis, on there where it says Rigid 174 USA. Yeah, that's right, because that is the shaft off a spade. So, you know, the spade would have been that way around, scooping out like this, and the wooden shaft went into here. Really hard stuff to drill into, but embellished with little CO2 canisters, parts from a bicycle drilled and sandwiched around there, parts of a car aerial, a door hook, bits of brass, all these little items snugged together, I guess, a little piece of a sewing machine, and of course a turtle bone. I think this is actually a scapula from a loggerhead turtle, which the skull and skeleton of which was found on a beach by a dear friend of mine many years ago. Bleached white, very old, and she picked them up and gave them to me and said, hey, what can you do with that? So what I've done here, you can see I've plated it with a bit of brass and leather on the bottom. And pretty much the only way you're going to ever hurt anybody with this is if you dropped it on them. This is called Volley, and she's made from a tree that fell in a friend's garden. And if you take this and turn it upside down, that's where one branch came off, another branch went that way. Where the legs split, that's two branches that went out like this. And I added the wings, which were pine, but again carved out of lemon scented gum, which is an Australian timber, and this is pine. And if you have a look around here, you can see again the plating process. Gee, she's weathered a little bit. So you can see the plating process and a little bit of resin or bird poo. The metal has been shaped to the timber. So it's basically been nailed on in a couple of key places and then beaten to get this shape. So in most of the cases it's only a two-dimensional curve, but sometimes we've got the compound curve here where it covers a compound surface. As you can see, I've glued 4 recycled posts together in a nice big solid block of Jarrah, and I'm going to carve myself a steampunk shark out of this. So first thing I'm going to do is draw a profile on the top, then a profile on the side, then run it through the bandsaw, cut those profiles out, then I can carve it with the turbo plane. Okay, to get a nice fluent curve on my shark, I'm going to use a bit of wood, bendy wood, which just found lying on the floor over there. Hope it's not important, Kev, in case I break it, which is entirely possible. So, there's a starting block. It's a joy. I do love the journey of the artwork. The important thing about sanding, just worth mentioning, is when you're moving the machine, you don't go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. As soon as you stop, you create an excess of sanding load. So the idea would be to keep the thing moving at all times. It's the same with the belt sander, orbital sander, random sanders, the whole thing. As soon as you stop and change direction, that moment where you go back, then you've got that excess. So always keep your sander moving, bit of a figure of 8, or at least in a line, and then off and on again. Little tip of the day there. This is a Japanese saw. See, a draw saw, a gift from my good friend Aaron, who kind of put my logo on the handle. Good on him. And look at that, straight off the saw. This is a draw saw. You only pull it, and it is exquisite. You can't hardly even see a saw mark. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so here we are. We've got the shark looking nice and smooth. I've got the dorsal fin, 2 lateral fins on. So now what I need to do is make the 2 rear lateral fins. I think they have a scientific name. So basically we're going to take a nice approximate sized piece of wood and give us a bit of a fin shape. So they'll probably go about there, one on either side. And I'll cut those out. And look, I've just made them. How about that? That was amazing. So they'd go round about there. Maybe we'll dowel them into position, put a spot of glue on, and then we can carve them back to how they suit. Well, back inside now because it started raining, and as you can see I've started plating the shark with some bits of copper and drilled some holes, pre-drilled some holes into the jarrah and nailed it in with some stainless steel nails, and that's just the beginning. So I'm going to plate or some of the other bits here, the cracks say for example, the idea being that this is a recycled work, and the sole urge of it is it's a shark that's been repaired, but it's still going, and with a bit of luck its species will survive if it's patched up a little bit here and there, but let's look after it. So that's the artistic sole urge, if you like. So there you go. So this is a bit of a resource shelf that I've recently implemented, and useful items, brass finials, curvy shapes, interesting details. Thank you, Arbortech. There is a method to my madness, vaguely. As you can see, everything from fake crystal bottle stoppers to fondue heaters, copper elbows, now a little bit obsolete, a bit of a stainless steel box there. Interesting brass things. This is a fun experiment that I did with stainless steel. And of course brass in tube, square section, profile, angle. I have all kinds of bits of brass. Again, in this corner here is a good example of a very, very nicely stocked steampunk resource pile. A little tip here, this is gold. When you're banging nails into copper to try and create this sort of plated look, hold the nail with a pair of rat nose pliers or needle nose pliers, and then you don't bang your fingers with a hammer. It's great, and you can pick another one up out the thing, bang them on, another one, bang, and away you go. And the nail should go straight through the copper, straight through the aluminium, straight into the wood. You don't have to pre-drill unless you're going into hardwoods like jarrah, etc. So jarrah is an Australian wood, by the way, so oak or one of the other, I don't know, whatever hardwoods you have in the States. Get that in line like that, because that will change slightly when it bends around the curve. Find out where that little bit is, roughly there, and underneath is roughly there, so I'm going to cut it over length, and then I can always cut a bit off or grind it off. It's really hard to cut a piece back on. So that's going to go in there. That fits that curve nicely. My approximate cut was done by marking with a texter, and now a little bit more accurately cut I will mark with a standby scribe, which is actually an electrical testing thing, but it's got a pointy bit, so hey, that's all I need. Well, as you know, we did make rather a lot of sawdust. We're good at that, and the shark is finished. A little bit smaller than we expected, but nonetheless a shark. Isn't she sweet? How do I know it's a girl? Just a guess. But no, only joking. The real shark is here. So this is the finished product. She's titled Reshark, close to Reef Shark, loosely based on a white pointer, but a combination of many of the sharks of Western Australia in many ways. But there are reference points on her that honour all of them. All recycled items. These were a couple of fence posts from my good friend Bear. These were donated from Aaron, another dear friend, and many of the other items found or acquired from various other locations. The eyes, which do work very well when they catch the light, they're actually the little balls that you find inside a particular brand of spray paint. I am tempted to put a little bit more on here and there, who knows. There you go.